Good morning, YouTubers. It's John Gilkison, Aero Stealth here, and it is November 6th, Monday, 2023. And I wanted to shoot a quick video this morning on my new decal for my car, and the fact that we're about ready to take a trip to Tucson in my Ford F-150 here. And there's a reason for that. Normally I would take the excuse me while I get all this situated again. Normally I would take the car because it uses 5 to 7 times less energy. However, we're going to a bike shop in Tucson, and I want to look at recumbent bicycles, especially electric drive ones. We're thinking of buying one in the next few months. For me, I can no longer ride a regular safety bike because of the surgery on my hand, and then I need surgery on this hand next year maybe, and I can no longer ride a regular bike where you lean your upper body on the handlebars and all the weights transferred into your wrists and your arms and so forth. Recumbent, I think, would really do me good. I think I can sit back and pedal. It has less aerodynamic drag, and with the electric drive, hopefully with throttle only, if I want it. If I have any health problems out there on the trails, I can get back to my vehicle with just using the throttle without having to pedal if I'm in some kind of trouble. So that's all good. However, the issue is I want to be able to haul this bike in the truck. We have a bed cover, and it's 24-inch height from the bottom of the bed up to the bed cover, and I'm wanting to know, will the bike fit in the bed of the truck with the bed cover down? And that's with 24-inch wheels, which I really do want. So it's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to check it out. It also can go in the back of the truck. Obviously we might need a folding bike for that purpose, so we'll want to talk to them about that. So anyway, my new decal on my, you're probably not going to be able to see it very well. I just put it on the car, and it says I'm rolling clean coal, and I consider this to be a triple entendre. I posted on the Chevy Bolt on Censored site, which on Facebook, which I thought was going to be a mistake, and sure enough was. I had one guy that said he owned a Volkswagen TDI diesel and he needed a decal just like that, and I said no. I said I think you need a junkyard and a car crusher. It's meant to be a joke, and I had to go ahead and post on the site. It was a joke and explain the joke, of course, which is no longer a joke if you have to explain it, but it's first place. Here's the triple entendre as I see it. There is no such thing as rolling coal, because what these guys are referring to is they're driving diesel pickup trucks that are detuned, so they put out black soot. So it's a diesel truck. They're not rolling coal at all, they're rolling diesel, which of course doesn't sound very catchy, so they don't use that expression. Also, they like to do it to electric cars. They like to go around Priuses and electric cars and roll coal on them, is what they call it, roll a bunch of black smoke. Very neighborly thing to do. Very adult-like behavior. And so my joke here is I'm rolling clean coal, which means that when I go by someone, I don't even have a tailpipe on the other side of the car. It says my ancestors used to have tailpipes. So I'm not rolling any kind of particulate matter on anybody. That's how clean it is. It's clean coal, which is the second joke. So, or the third. There's all kinds of jokes in there, but anyway, I'm trying to get people to think. Without a tailpipe, I'm not putting out 2.5 micron particles or black soot of any kind. And it turns out some guy from West Virginia posted. He said, well, I need one of these for my car because I live in West Virginia. And I said, well, I live in New Mexico. We don't even have a coal-fired power generating station in New Mexico at all. And I have over 5 kilowatts of solar. And we're about ready to get more, so I'm actually going to have more solar than the amount of energy I use every year. So, enough of that. So we're taking the truck, and it turns out this truck it's a long-range model. It has a 36-gallon gas tank. It's a 2014 Ford F-150. And 36 gallons equates to 1,213 kilowatt hours of energy. So that's the amount of energy that's on board. And typically when I fill it up, it can say 670 to 700 miles of range. That's a projection, of course. And my friend we're going to go visit in Tucson, spend a night with them, lives 298 miles from my house. So technically I can make it all the way there and all the way back on not stopping at all to fuel my vehicle. Now what I'm actually going to do is drive to town, which is about 15 miles away, top off the tank before we leave, and when I come back I'm going to top off the tank in Las Cruces. So I'm going to cut 30 miles off the trip. That's the to and from my house to the gas station. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, but I'm just going to razz my friend because he owns a Nissan Leaf that I made it all the way from Las Cruces to Tucson and back with no charging sessions whatsoever. That's what you're doing when you're going to a gas station. You're charging your vehicle, of course, rapidly. I'll concede that. So it turns out, just doing the math straight up, taking those figures at face value, 670 miles on 1,213 kilowatt hours, I would be doing 0.557 miles per kilowatt hour. That equates to basically about 1.8 kilowatt hours per mile, which means my truck uses more energy per mile than a Tesla semi-truck, electric of course, that's hauling 82,000 pounds. So my truck literally uses more energy per mile than a Tesla semi, which I find to be an incredible fact. It ought to impress a lot of people, but very few people seem to be aware of it. So, the other subject that's been on my mind in the last day or so, try to get this stuck in the title, is I was watching Paul Beckwith out of Ottawa, Canada, talk about the new James Hansen paper on global warming in the pipeline. And what James Hansen's referring to is that global warming has accelerated because of the loss of aerosol masking from dirty fuel and shipping in the North Atlantic and in the North Pacific. They had new shipping fuel rules that took place, I guess, around the first of the year or so, in the last year or two. I'm not real clear on this. And so they have cleaner bunker fuel than they used to have. And it's causing the loss of sulfates. So it's causing sulfates to fall out of the upper atmosphere, which was reflecting solar radiation. In fact, is a shorthand term for this is solar radiation management. If you were to inject sulfates into the upper atmosphere on purpose, that's what you'd be engaged in. So what Hansen's paper is saying is that literally the rate of global warming is doubled because of the loss of aerosol masking. And I believe it. This subject's been around for a while. First time I heard about it was in reference to the 2001 Twin Towers attack, when for about 2 or 3 days afterwards, the FAA shut down all air traffic in the United States. And I remember that very well. I remember looking up in the skies and seeing no contrails, no evidence of air activity of any kind. And the planet warmed up a bit during that time period. But I always kind of thought that that was not enough data to base this on as a generalization. And we had another example of this, which I haven't heard too much about, and that was at the beginning of the pandemic. A lot of people were staying home. I can clearly remember going to El Paso on a trip to Monaghan State Park when this whole thing happened back in 2020, and the air was so clear down in El Paso, and there was no traffic, hardly at all. I mean, it was just shocking to drive through El Paso and to be just one of a few dozen vehicles on the interstate out there. And you could see the Franklin Mountains just crystal clear. You could see into Ciudad Juarez just as clear as could be. It changed the whole landscape because it foreshortened everything. When you can see things really clearly, the mind assumes they're closer. And that's an automatic brain activity which you can't quite override. So it's an interesting effect. But of course, everyone forgot about that. I'm of the opinion, now Hansen's saying that we need nuclear, we need to speed up the adoption of clean energy technologies and getting rid of fossil fuels, and I agree with all that, but they're also saying we need radiation management, solar radiation management. I guess they want to fly airplanes up in the upper atmosphere and release sulfates, which I'm against. They call this a Faustian bargain. We haven't seen the amount of global warming that we should have seen because of air pollution. And now that we're cleaning up the air, it's beginning to really kick into overdrive. And personally, I think we ought to take the haircut and leave the upper atmosphere alone. We've done enough. We've put enough crap into the atmosphere. And what we need is really aggressive tactics to reduce carbon emissions. And quite frankly, we're not going to be able to solve this problem in the short run. We got far too many people. And I get this all the time from people. They'll say, well, the birth rate is below the rate needed to replenish the population, so the population will drop. And while all this is true, it's not going to happen fast enough. We're still going to coast on up to 9, 10 billion people in the next 20, 30 years. That's not good enough. And the same thing's going to happen, regardless of what we do, no matter how much we slash emissions with this population growth, it's going to override it. And we're just going to stay with the emissions we have, around 40 gigatons a year. And I don't. The growth rate of it's dropped, but it hasn't dropped overall. Emissions are 60% higher than they were in 1990. And this is a pathway to nowhere. My thing is, I say, well, look, if there was only 10% of the amount of people that there are now, instead of 8 billion, there was 800 million people on the earth. And everybody, on average, slash their emissions by 90%, well, you're down to, instead of 40 gigatons a year, you're down to 4. Now that's slashing emissions and impacts on the natural world. With a 90% cut in population, we have a 90% cut in our farming and the amount of beef and chickens and pigs and stuff that we grow. Right now, 95% of the biomass on the planet is human related. And this is a spiraling impossibility. But no one will talk about that. They won't talk about that because our whole economic theory is based on economic growth, which is predicated also on population growth of some sort. And it's anathema to talk about it, and it shouldn't be, because there is no answer short of this, as I view it. And I don't even want to be wrong about this, to be honest with you, because this humanocentric view of the universe that we have, where humans and human civilization are the end-all and be-all, the pinnacle of everything, is wrong. And we need to get rid of it. If we have any chance for survival, and we don't look like, it doesn't look like we do, because we're not willing to shed these ideas. I think I posted the other day, it's reposted, this idea that solving global warming is not a human problem. It's we need to be able to solve global warming, and certain people need to continue to make a profit. And we can't do anything about global warming because certain people can't make a profit. Well, tough. Tell them to suck it up, Buttercup. We have to move on, and we need to do it quickly if we want to save ourselves, and it doesn't seem like we do, because our society seems to be based on denial. And we're addicted to fossil fuels. We're addicted to our way of life. And so, and this is a hard thing to overcome. Human psychology is really something. And getting people to stop denying reality because they don't want to accept the fact that they need to change their way of life and what they're doing, and then not everything's about them or their convenience. It's a really tall lift, and it's hard to get people to do that. And unfortunately, it's going to require some draconian measures to get it done. We're literally going to have to tell people, this is the way it's going to be, and what you want to do is now illegal, and we're going to have to pry their cold, dead hands off their gas stoves, as they say. Or as I like to joke, they're going to have to pry their my cold, dead hands off of my induction stove. So, well, that's my contribution for today. Hope everybody's doing well. I am feeling better since my ablation surgery last month. I'm not going to do this cardioversion. This is the second cardioversion they want to do on my heart. I'm not going to do it until after the first of the year. And I just told the doctor I had 3 surgeries in the last 4 months, and that's enough. I need a break. And he accepted that. And what I didn't tell him was, because this new cardioversion he wanted to do would have landed right about a week or 2 before Christmas, is that it wouldn't do to have him kill me before Christmas. Might put a damper on my wife and my children's holidays. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, they might celebrate double down on celebrating. Never know. I wouldn't be around. I wouldn't care. So, just kidding, folks. I'll be fine. It's just that I do need a break from any of these procedures. And after the first of the year, what they're going to try to do is this cardioversion to try to get rid of the flutter in one of the lower chambers of my heart that's left over that the ablation procedure did not solve. So I'm not too sanguine that's even going to work, but we'll see. So, happy holidays, everybody. We're getting into a mindset for Thanksgiving. We have a 15.5 pound turkey and some company coming, so that's going to be fun. And the Christmas holidays. And we're working on getting 4.8 kilowatts of solar installed on this garage. So we've got a pretty good holiday season to celebrate already. I hope you all do too. You all take care. Happy New Year. Maybe 2024 will be a better one. Maybe we could all celebrate Trump being locked up this coming year. I don't like wishing that on anybody, but in his case, I do. Take care. Bye-bye.